wanted to talk to you today about the idea that an idea that a lot of people, I think, aren't entirely aware of is the existence of trauma in finances. A lot of times people think trauma is limited to emotional experiences, physical experiences, but don't realize that they can also have those experiences in relationship to their money, and that this can impact how they approach money or how they feel about money and making their own financial decisions in the future. So I wanted to ask you how you might define what financial trauma might be.
My experience, because I do a lot of work with family businesses, people that have a generational history from their parents and of loss, or they have a loss with their siblings that they've had. I think of people I know who work together, then they felt betrayed by one, their daughter, their sister, or their brother. Then there was a division, and they tend to be way more careful about trusting and about uh, are they financially okay, because they've seen what can happen, and that impact is, yes, it's emotional and it's cognitive, and it's in the biology of the nervous system, because there's been such a rip in the relationship field where they once trusted and thought they were together, to find out, no, I have a sense of betrayal now. So if that can happen, am I as safe in the world with my money? Now
Right.
you take some people who have made quite a bit of money, lost it, and then rebuilt again, and then lost it and rebuilt again, and then gone on and managed to do it somehow in their character structure and the way they were. It didn't traumatize them, right?
Mhm.
It might have been hard, and who knows? It might have been depressed, anxious. I don't know, but I do know, and some of my clients have had those experiences, and they managed. There was a resilience that I think they came in with constitutionally when they were born. They're just a different baby. They're just now a different adult, right?
Right.
And then there's other people that, as financial loss, some people are depressed and don't come out of it. Some people are suicidal. Some people kill themselves. Some people never quite recover.
Mhm.
And it influences their whole thought about, are they safe? Because everybody's looking for safety.
Yes.
The, you know, the financial safety helps you feel, I don't have to worry about meeting my needs. I don't
Mhm.
have to worry about paying the bills. I, okay, if I've managed that level, uh, then I can go to another level of functioning. But if I had trauma, that level's always. I can remember my son saying to me, "Grandma would like you to go over and see her, because she said her bank account's kind of low, and she had some, not huge funds, but some." And I went over to her and I said, "So, John said, you would like me to talk to you about your bank account." "Oh," she said, "I'm very embarrassed. I know I have enough money in my bank account. I've got sufficient funds. It's not logical, Ian. It's not logical. But I get scared when it goes below that number." And
Yes.
she was embarrassed to tell me that, even though she had like 20,000 in her bank account,
Yeah.
right? That was years
It's
and years ago. That's a fair amount of cushion.
yeah.
But, she's retired, and she's, you know, late 70s or 80s, early 80s, somewhere in there.
Mhm.
And I said, "It's no problem. You have a family trust, and we'll just transfer that over. Don't." I said, "Given your background, it's understandable, Mom."
Exactly. And
Exactly.
and I think I run into this a fair bit, particularly people who are contemplating retirement or in retirement, and they start to see the money erode, or they
Yes.
contemplate the money eroding, and they knew that was going to happen, right? You know
Yeah.
that logically that this is going to happen. That's the intention of that money.
Yes.
So why am I having this reaction? Why am I choosing why do I feel scared? Why do I feel afraid? Even if the number's a good number and my financial planner has told me it's okay, get out there, start spending your money,
Yeah.
as I do.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
But a person can feel still unable, still frozen to move
That's
forward.
that's about their history, either this lifetime or from the generations in the past of poverty and loss, you know,
Mhm.
and what their parents went through or the parents above them. And often with certain communities, I'll say,
Mhm.
uh, where there was horrendous, unbelievable loss that happened that nobody would ever think would happen, like genocide.
Yeah.
It's it's in their tissue that can happen, even though it couldn't happen, but it did happen. We're more connected to our history than, we're just so sure in our Western world that we're independent and, we're fine. It's all about what I do and so forth. But um, those weaves, and there's some science now called epigenetics that through the generations, trauma can be passed down through the genes. There's more
Yes.
research on it now. We'll see where it goes. But also, when you think of like First Nations, or thinking in terms of just 7 generations, I think you know
Yeah.
the ancestors are with us, and it's not just mythology. It's those stories are somehow, we heard them as a kid, and they were reinforced as they went along, and
Exactly.
it has an impact on our current decisions. So you're talking to them about logic, and in them they're having feelings.
Right. But they're trying to answer it with logic, right? People will
That's right.
come to me and say, I'm feeling anxious about my financial situation. So Julia will give me some answers and then I'll feel better. And we can go through the process. And
Hmm.
sometimes that, all the numbers line up, everything looks really good. I'm given all the answers that from a logical, rational perspective might make somebody feel like they're okay and they still don't feel okay.
That's right.
And at that point, I start to wonder if, okay, well, maybe this wasn't the right solution for you, right?
Well, I think I'd add to that. I think it is part of the solution that's right for them,
Mhm.
because without that, what wouldn't be discovered in a more public way is that they're still not feeling secure,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah.
And I know from your work, I mean, you've been our financial planner for myself and my wife. We can go to all sorts of financial planners. What makes the difference about going to you, aside from your brilliance at what you do, in your technical role, is that you have a way in your presence of making people feel safe, not because of something you consciously act out, but because it's intrinsic in you. And that's what makes a person feel safe.
Well, I
That's what,
hope so.
well, I think, let's put it this way. It has a more higher probability that people will feel safe if they feel a sense that you're with them and you're not, just kind of shoving something on them, because you don't do that. I know that. You discuss it, very worth it. And um, so it doesn't mean, I sort of misspoke. It doesn't mean that because you have that presence, suddenly people feel trustworthy and none of these things will happen. No, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But it has a tendency to start to bring more safety in, uh, and and perhaps for occasionally the odd person that connects with you enough to be able to suggest that maybe they would like to have some professional advice about the still underlying concerns they have of their well-being and safety. Now,
Yes.
you can't do that with everybody because what do you mean? I got to go to a shrink or a psychiatrist or something like there's something wrong with me.
We all
But
should, but
yeah, they all
yes.
should. No, but you know what I mean. It's just
Yeah.
everybody's different. We're different with everybody. We're
Yeah.
not the same. Uh, but the more people trust you, the more you can, even though you're not a therapist, and as you say, you don't have the skill set, you do have the skill set with some people, I believe, that you actually do it. And you haven't told me that you will venture in a little bit more with what more needs to happen so that you would feel more comfortable. What's missing? What's missing?
Yes. Yeah.
What's
And
missing?
sometimes I think what is missing is that, at some point in their lives, they
Yeah,
experienced something that made them feel unsafe and in a way about money. And, they suffered a loss, or their parents suffered a loss, or they watched somebody
yeah,
suffer a loss, or they grew up in poverty, and they're thinking, that happened before and it can happen again.
yeah,
And those sorts of things can create a real insecurity. And what I always hope for people is that what we're working
mm,
towards is a feeling of safety and a building of life that they want,
yeah,
one where they will feel good and fulfilled. And
yeah,
sometimes we can, financial planning is a part of that. And sometimes, getting the professional consultant in for their family business is a part of that. And sometimes working with a therapist on those
mm,
traumatic instances to go, oh, like that's why I felt like that. And
yeah. That's right.
I've got
And
the logical part and I've got the emotional part, and now I can move forward. Thank you so much, Ian. I really
yeah,
appreciate it.
oh, it's just wonderful to be with you again. Thank you.
Thank you.